Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cult of Cantona for a reaction video. We all have palpitations here, so we've been meditating and lying down on the floor. Uh, what a game! Um, I was very deeply concerned when we went down to 10 men that it was going to be another Amarim job, as we like to call the bad performances. But yeah, United showed a lot of character and a lot of heart there. I'm joined today by Deck McDonough, Mystic Deck. What did you make of all that?
What really impressed me was the grit and determination from the entire team. They defended like unbelievably. The backline was solid. Harry Maguire had a great game. They all did, in fairness. Like you, I thought once the low went off, we could have been in a bit of bother, and especially conceding so soon after that. But no, always to limit Arsenal. Yeah, they did have chances, and thank God they fell to that poor fella Hartfitz or whatever. I mean, God, when the ball was going to him, you were nearly glad because you didn't want anyone else on the Arsenal
Yeah,
team get.
yeah. It's sorry, the line broke up there a little bit. Yeah, it looked look. It was a match of two teams without any strikers. With Jesus going off or Jesus going off injured. I thought we had a chance. It was a scrappy game, and some of the conversions they had, the amount of possession that they had, and went through balls into the box. It was like a proper old school 80s or 90s cup tie. Fascinating to see the grit and the heart, which was self-evident in the Liverpool game and then carried through. I think the genesis of what Amarim has been promising is there for all to see now, and it's starting to take a little bit hold in terms of the player psychologies, and there's a little bit of a siege mentality happening with the team. I'm not going to lie. Every time I seen Leach going into a tackle, I felt as if he was going to get sent off. But shouldn't we all feel like that about Roy Keane for 13 years, 15 years, or whatever it was? So it's great to see. Players that deserve, I suppose, a shout out is Delict. Played, I think he was colossal today. I thought Toby Collier coming on, who hasn't played any games all season, coming on and holding the midfield the way he did is commendable. Scott McToby, Tobinay, as we christened him on the group earlier, and Harry Maguire. I have to hold my hands up. We were absolutely relentlessly critical of Harry Maguire for a long time on this channel and on our podcast, and I have to say that he was incredible today. Apart from that very shifty looking penalty, which he kind of left a little bit of a leg in for. Who stood out for you today, Deck?
Definitely Maguire. I thought he was very unlucky with the penalty. I think the Arsenal player was on the way down before. Like, what's Maguire meant to do? He can't get out of his way. Was he meant to stand by and just leave him? I thought it was a very dodgy penalty. Just goes to show when VAR isn't there, these little things get through, the Ligt was phenomenal. I mean, he was throwing blocks in left, right, and centre. He was great. Um, I liked it when Ahmed came on because he's always going to be our most attack-minded player. Delo even played well up until his stupid tackle. The team as a whole played well. They defended as a unit. You can actually see what Amarin is trying to do with the team, and they seem to be buying into it. I can't believe I'm talking about Bayern being man of the match when literally for the first 10 minutes I was giving out that he couldn't kick a ball out. I was wondering what was going on, but at least he can save penalties, so that's something good.
Yeah, he was, the BBC man of the match, and I'm delighted to see that. It's good for his confidence. It's good for his confidence coming off the bench. His kicks are diabolical. If it was a baseball game, you'd be thinking you might catch one of those balls that are going out all the time. It was, over the top, but he stood up well. He commanded his 6 yard box really well in a match where there was so much going on. I mean, it was like, we were lucky, I suppose, to come away with it with to get through that high in that regard. But De Ligt, I thought Leach was particularly in terms of the penalty he took, as we said on the group, he took the penalty like a porn star. It was just in, stand up, do the job, and get back out again. And you have to admire Bruno as well, leading by example, despite the fact that he was starting to get, as per usual, a little bit when he gets tired at the end.
Yeah, it was great penalties by the five of them. And do you know what? I'm glad that it was down at the United end and the fans got rewarded with that, because you could hear them all through the game. The travelling support for United is phenomenal. They're heard at every stadium they go to. And I'm delighted too for Xerxes. He's getting a lot of crap. And no player should ever get booed off by their own supporters. So I was delighted just for him as a young lad to see him score the winning penalty as well.
Yeah, it's great to see. There's a redemption. There's always a redemptive story for players at United. I love the way that, despite the fact that I was embarrassed like everybody else when he was booed off at that game, but there's always an opportunity at United to make amends, and I think that'll do his confidence the world of good. I have to say, and this is the constant criticism I have of Xerxes, that he looks like he's playing in a different game, and not in a good way, not in a Zidane way, where Zidane is playing in space. Zidane is playing in space, and everyone else is playing down, on the pitch. But more so that he looks. It's not that he's leggy or he's tired. It's just he's not, in my opinion, he's not fast enough to lead the line, and he's being played out of position. He should be playing in that Bruno Fernandes position, that number 10 behind, or even deeper still, or but he's just not fast enough, and it's not his fault because he's not Amarim's player. But I'm delighted for the lad. He did really well when he came in. Ahmad looks like Ahmad looks like he should be in Shelbourne Park Stadium. He's just, every time he gets the ball, he's just like a rocket, leading the line and heading forward. And you just think that, and I love that about him. He's so slight that you think he's just when he's about to be, you think he's going to be pushed off the ball. He does something creative and he makes something happen in a very kind of Ryan Giggs way that I haven't seen in playing for United in a long time. Any player like that, where you just think he's lost the ball and then something nice or magical happens at the turn of a dime. So it's great to see. There's some other standouts as well. I mean, Marazwa, I can't even say his name. I keep saying this every single episode. Mazraoui. It's the U sound in the end that keeps getting me. Mazraoui just looks like he's been playing for Man United for the last 15 years. He's just a breath of fresh air, and he's forced to every ball. And in the last kind of 10 seconds of extra time, when he's literally run the bollocks off himself, he was up charging down the goalkeeper to try and get a cheeky winner. I was like, what's he doing up there? Amazing to see. The heart is kind of back, and that's and I'm sure you'll agree with me on that about this deck. That's all we expect of the players. I don't mind if we lose.
I think we're like most supporters. We can take a loss if it's in the right manner, and we see the team going out and trying. And that's why there's certain players that we've wanted out of the club, because we knew they weren't trying. Didn't matter what wages they were on. They were playing for themselves and for their social media following, and that was it. They weren't playing for the club. We want players there that are going to turn up consistently for Manchester United and for the supporters, and that's all we can ask. And if they give us that, then they'll get our support. We don't want to see players not running back, not tackling. I mean, I think he's been great since he's come. Ugarte, I think he's a great player. He breaks up everything, and quite skillful as well. People seem to think he's just going around kicking people, but no, pretty skillful, doesn't lose too many challenges, and he's coming into his own. He just needed a bit of time to bed into the team, but I think he's definitely one for the future for us as well. Yeah, but I mean, that's all we wanted today, for them to go out and give it a go, and they did. They got their just rewards.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. I'd say that Ugarte is was just finding his feet in terms of the pace of the Premier League. But I think there's more to come from him in a Michael Carrick kind of creative way. I like the way he just kind of quietly goes about his business. And that's the type of player I like to see, just kind of tidying up, a la young Casemiro. So it's great to see a player like that of his. Number one, he's relatively young, so he'll hold down that position for a few years, and it complements the likes of Kobbie Mainoo, who didn't play badly, in fairness to him. He seemed to be the only one that was trying at that point, up to the point at half time, especially in midfield. But the advantages of the confidence of the Liverpool result and the advantages of the confidence that this will bring going forward could lead to a very successful cup season, which also sets up a very tasty home Old Trafford return cup match with Leicester City and Ruud van Nistelrooy.
The return,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You'd have to say, I don't think Ruud would have wanted that, but it's great to see, and it's going to be a great occasion.
Yeah, it'll be a serious game, and definitely one for the diary. I wouldn't mind going to that one myself now. It could be a good one. I mean, Ruud, no matter what, he's always going to get a great reception when he comes back to United. I mean, he was a legend on the pitch. He looked after us when he was interim as well, So, I mean, the love for Ruud van Nistelrooy is never going to change. And, I mean, he's the type of player that we're missing at the moment. We need an out-and-out striker. I don't know, will it be sorted this January or in the summer, but it's something that every Manchester United fan can identify. So I'm pretty sure Ruben sees it as well. So maybe he'll give his old club Sporting a ring.
Yeah, I'd love to see Gorka there. I mean, I admire his integrity in saying that he wouldn't take the player with him, but that wouldn't be a Mourinho move. Mourinho would strip his whole squad to take them, to the next club, and
have to be ruthless.
And I think that, yeah, I mean, there's no friends in business, and it's business time for United. I mean, if the missing link in all of this now, I think, apart from shift, I'm delighted as well that Rashford. It showed that. We need to stop. And the idea was popping into my head, what about Rashford now? What if he was in the squad? What if he was on the bench? But the reality is that we have to think about a future, a life after Marcus Rashford. He's not doing it. His head is turned. His confidence is down. He should move on for himself and for everybody else. And I wish him a great career. And I'd love to see him do well with PSG or somewhere else in Europe, Milan, win a Serie A, do well in Champions League or whatever. But we need someone who's coming in, who's just going to bulldoze. I think our biggest problem over the last 2 years in particular is missing out on the obvious choice of striker, the Harry Kane thing. Like, if you add Harry Kane's goals to what we did last season, if you add Gorka to the equation, even in the last 10, 12 games, whatever it is, since Amarim has come in, where would we be in the league, especially with City asleep? I mean, it's all down to just, you're defined by your choices in business, in management. It's not about, playing better necessarily. It's not about tactically playing better. It's about making the right choices. If you make the right choices, really good stuff will happen for the club. And I think that, ultimately we're being spanked for Ten Hag's unusual decisions. None of us seen Xerxes coming when we signed him. He wasn't on the radar, I think, at all, really. And I do feel for Rasmus Højlund, and it's been coming up a lot in our group and in our community and our purview about Højlund. People talking about him not being up to scratch. I would say that he's 21 years of age, and a lot of players that turned out to be world-class strikers were not, playing, the standard of football that they play when they're 28, 30, 31, which is when most strikers kind of come into their purple patch. So I think people need to give him a break. What do you think, guys, who are listening along and watching along? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll answer there. What do you think about Rasmus Højlund? Is he good enough to play for Man United? Is he good enough to lead the line, or how do we progress?
At the moment, no, he isn't. I think that's down to his age and probably down to the expectation of Manchester United. We expect better. He would learn a lot more if he had someone like a Harry Kane in there to lead the line. He can't lead the line for us at the moment. But like I said, he's only 21. So he's definitely got the talent. He's definitely got skill. But I mean, it's putting so much pressure on him leading the line for us at the moment. He probably sees himself as the focus of attack, but at 21, you would want to be world class to lead the line for Manchester United. You would have expected Rashford to take up some of the slack. That hasn't happened. So I think that's why we're probably going to see him gone in the January transfer window. His brother seems to be visiting every club in Europe. And surprise, surprise, there isn't that many people go mad for him. He's lost a bit of his lustre for other clubs, hence why we're looking at these deflated prices being quoted, you know. A lot of people are questioning his work ethic. And I thought that would have changed when we saw the back of players like Pogba, Martial, Lingard. I thought when they went, we might see something better from him. But unfortunately, it hasn't worked out. So he's probably going to have to move on for the betterment of us and the betterment of his own career.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wishes him. There's no ill will there towards him. I just think that he deserves a new challenge, like he said himself. I think practically, but the problem is, and I think the problem with him over the last year, and look, you know, Andy Mitten said it recently, that, and he would know that Marcus Rashford has been a problem for a couple of managers over a long period of time. There's nothing new happening here.
No.
Like Marcus Rashford was a problem for Ten Hag. He was a problem for Ralph Ragnick. He was a problem for Solskjaer, although Solskjaer is too nice of a guy to say anything publicly. And it would be good for him to go. You know, we need people a la, you know, Rasmus Højlund, who will run the bollocks off himself. Literally just keep running and running and running until he falls over and looks absolutely disgusted and devastated that he's been taken off. You know, that's what we need going forward. It's just the United way, and people often say that and quote that, saying the United way, etc., etc. But we need more of that. I see a lot of that in Garnacho now as well, where he just seems to be giving up, whereas Bruno will literally run himself into the ground. We just need everyone in their respective positions playing like, you know, Bruno, like Rasmus Højlund. But getting back to the match today, the referee, and I don't want to be too critical of him,
you should be.
He had a job on his hands. He had a job on his hands without VAR, so I'd imagine it's very difficult refereeing games, you know, consistently 90% of the time, 95% of the time, where there's VAR making those difficult decisions for you, or knowing psychologically that if you make an error, you'll be corrected. So I understand from that perspective that the ref might be coming and looking at it from a different point of view, where he'd be under a lot more pressure to make the right decision. But he got 3-4 calls drastically wrong there. The Peno, as you said, I think was a bit sketchy, so I'm not sure about that one. And then there was a lot of decisions that seemed to go Arsenal's way today that didn't seem exactly fair from a Man United point of view. What do you make on the referee?
I actually thought he had a very poor game. I thought he was brutal. I mean, the decisions he made, and they did seem to favour Arsenal. I mean, you do have that home field advantage, and that's what seemed to be happening. Like, I mean, the Maguire thing was crazy. That should never have been a penalty at all. Made no sense to me. I didn't think it was a penalty in real time. I definitely didn't think it was a penalty when we could see the replay of it. You know, so I thought he had a poor enough game. I was not a fan. I was trying to find out where his season ticket for Arsenal was.
Yeah. So this leaves us, you know, still in the FA Cup. It leaves us still in the Europa League. Where do you think we go from here? How do we kick on? What would you like to see happening in the next? Now we have 3 home games, luckily, coming up. So I'd like to see a little bit of a run. What would you like to see now going forward?
What I've wanted to see all season, a bit of consistency. I mean, we know players can do it. I mean, they can turn up against City, they can turn up against Liverpool, they can turn up against Arsenal, but you have to see him turn up against the Bournemouths, the Brentfords, everyone else. You know, that's what we want.
Yeah.
I want to see them make a statement. Make Old Trafford a fortress again. Teams used to be beaten before they got off the team bus outside Old Trafford. You know, that's what we need to do. We know we can play against the big teams. Is to get that motivation for every team from now until the end of the season. And they really just need, whether it's a stopgap or what, I don't know, but they need a recognised striker this month. We're going to need that going forward, because I just think we're expecting too much of Highland and the Cirksey, and they're too young for that at the moment. They can't do it. That has to be one thing that Ineos and Sir Jim get right in January. We have to get in a recognised striker. I don't know whether they'll go for Sporting or whether they'll go for Oshie, man. There's talks about him. I mean, the thing is, we're getting linked with every player on the planet, but that is the life of Manchester United. If there's no news, Sky Sports will report something about Manchester United. So hopefully they're working away in the background, and we can get a deal done for someone that's going to get us the goals we need.
Yeah, I'd say that, look, the money's not there, and FFP is you know, being very harsh on us. But I'd say that there has to be some sort of coup, or, you know, pulling you know, Lednowski in, or someone who always dreamed of playing for Man United that could come in and do 10, 15 goals and help us with these cup runs. Otherwise, I think, on the basis of what I've seen over the last 2 games, I wouldn't say we get relegated, but I will say that, you know, our only hope, I think, of getting anywhere near the Champions League this year is winning that Europa League. And the only way we're going to do that is by blasting teams. With a decent striker is going to come in and save the day. Osherman, I don't know about that. I'm hearing things that he is very similar temperament to Marcus Rashford. I could be wrong. He could come in and do a great job, and, you know, do a Robbie Keane and play for his 5th favourite team that he supported since he was a boy, kind of thing. And I hope that's the case if he does come in. But, you know, we need someone who can pull the trigger, like a peg gun striker who's just going to take the ball and blast it, and not look around him, looking for help consistently, like we have with our forwards going forward. Because it's a very deep worry of mine that we get to the end of the season and get to a final like that we had a couple of years ago with Ollie playing Villarreal, and we just couldn't put the ball in the net, and we were so close. So you'd worry about the character improving, which it has over the last couple of games. But then towards the end of the season, if we do get very close to the line, I'd worry about the conversion rates of those important matches, semi-finals, finals, because that's where our season, I think, will hinge this year. And if that's not fixed, then we're going to have a serious problem. I mean, we may end up with nothing, and then no even European football next season, Conference League, and I can't do that.
Yeah,
maybe
100%. Yeah, definitely need a striker in. So, Ruben, get one in.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thanks a million. Just a short reaction video in response to the match. I have to say, it was great to see an old school cup tie. If you would like to support the show, you can head on over to buymeacoffee.com /FNI. And if you scan this link here, that QR code, it'll bring you to a page. Become a member and grab us a coffee, or, you know, if we see it out and about, which is very likely because we do go over to the games a lot independently, and we'll get you a coffee back or a quick pint. You can also support the show by sharing this video with your pals, subscribing on YouTube, become a member there, and do stay involved, because we're going to be announcing something pretty cool over the next week or so, extending out and creating some new content under the umbrella of the Cult of Cantona community, and we're really excited about that. And if you want to hear about that first, make sure to subscribe, make sure to become a member on Buy Me a Coffee, and we have a very, very, very cool event coming down the line this year as well, which we very close to announcing, and we will do in the near future. In the meantime, Mystic Deck McDonough, thanks so much for your time as always, and glory, glory, Man United.
Up the Reds, and thanks to Mr. Ruthless for the comments on the chat. That's what we want to see. We want to see people getting engaged and joining in. So come here, things can only get better. Hopefully the lads will keep on rolling the way they are at the moment, and we'll see performances getting better.
Absolutely, yeah. Stay the course. It's a marathon, not a sprint, as always. Until next time, take care. Thanks a million, Dak.
Cheers, man. Cheers.